Sean.
I'm Josh.
Brian.
And we're doing our CDL number 5.
During DAT weekend.
As second year DAT student.
So Anita is a 17-year-old high school junior. She is an emancipated minor who has won a lottery spot to attend a prestigious magnet school. She has a part-time job, but not eligible for health insurance through her employer. She does have access to Medicaid, part of a CHIP program. As part of the PPE process, you learn that Anita is HIV positive and is being treated for the condition. She is participating in a cricket team, co-ed educational cricket team. And while running between the wickets, suffers an open fractured dislocation of her tib fib. You use all necessary precautions to protect yourself from bloodborne pathogens, provide immediate treatment, and have Anita transported to the hospital. Immediately following the incident, the principal noticed that a few specks of blood are on your face near the corner of your eye. She asks you that you include this information in your incident report and that you get tested within the next 48 hours. So task 1, prepare a step-by-step action plan for your testing procedures and follow-up care. Because Anita has limited healthcare resources, you will be providing her entire post-surgical open reduction, internal fixation, rehab. We have very well-equipped facility and a wide range of clinical resources. So task 2, we're preparing a list of precautions and care restrictions that apply to this patient given her HIV status. Consider that you have ample resources, so explore those resources. So my first thought with this case, I don't necessarily treat Anita any different than any other patient because we use universal precautions, anything at that point in time, to protect ourselves from any patient and protect ourselves from the patient in case we have something.
Maybe at the time of injury.
At the time of injury or any point in time, we use those resources. Would you disagree with that as statement?
No.
I mean, I might think, right, like after surgery, if you're doing, right, she had the open reduction, if she has some sort of scarring, maybe if you're doing massage, make sure you use gloves if you don't normally. I don't think the scar, but
I think that's what he's saying is that technically and likely more within his than our secondary, he has more policy and procedures that are more established that he's going to follow, and he's going to use gloves in that scenario no matter what. And any scenario in which there can be any leakage of bodily fluid or blood or anything like that, you're going to be using gloves. You're going to make sure that you're using that, what is it? Is it 2 to 8 bleach to water?
Yeah, or
yeah.
1 to 10.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever it is, he's got that disinfectant cleaner that he's going to use afterwards, and he's going to wash the towel and whatnot.
And if there's, and then you should have an action plan in case anything is in case, like for the principal wanting immediate HIV testing. That's
what I was like trying to look up though. I don't think it shows any positive results in that quick.
No,
right?
No. It can take between 10 and 30
for the quickest. It's 10 to 30.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so that's just him being kind of like paranoid because it's a hot topic of.
So,
but you still feel like you need to be tested.
You definitely need to test it just because that's being smart and safe. But I don't think you need to be like, hey, everyone, this person has this. You need to protect yourself more if you have an open cut.
And you can't do it because that's a violation of HIPAA policy. You can't. Don't tell people.
Or not even like, hey, this person has this. Just like if someone has an open wound, you're not going to be like, we need to cover that today. Like you're just going to treat them normally because you're protecting their wound and protecting that wound, right?
But correct me if I'm wrong, right? So if HIV is spread through bodily fluid transmission. Correct?
Only.
Okay. So if someone, right, if she lays down in a high school, right, should I wipe my table down between every patient? Yes. Do I? Not necessarily.
Well, maybe you should.
You're right, but that would be something that I would change in my clinical practice.
Yeah. I was thinking that same thing.
Right? Or something like if, like I know, like with the basketball team, we give a towel for the team to use. It's like they wipe their face, their sweaty. That's kind of something that we'll do. Right? I might not necessarily.
They should probably
towel. All of them should probably have their own towel.
Yeah.
But
that's what you wouldn't just say you have your own towel and then
no, but I get like everybody.
Everyone has like.
Especially the unlimited resources.
The issue is though is that you as the athletic trainer can't prevent all that. Either the coach needs to be the one that says something to this because they may all start with the same towel, but when you've got those 10 chairs sitting next to each other and then they throw their towel on the ground to run back onto the court, or to run back off to the side so that they can get subbed in. The towels get swapped.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's
But
a
we have to at least
conversation.
provide.
That's what I'm saying. You should
But that's also
provide
just-
that education.
Yeah.
I mean, that covers you, but I'm just saying you got to have the coaches buy-in that says this is where these need to go after you're about to run on the court. We're not going to do this whole thing where we're throwing towels on the ground. You coming back and then using whatever you find.
I think to protect patient confidentiality, you can have that conversation with every single coach, right? You can have that with your football team and your basketball team, even though she's not a part of it, just because you never know what anything can happen with someone else's bodily fluids. If I run out and grab Brian's, like I could get anything. Not necessarily a life-threatening thing, but I could, maybe he's carrying, some just regular sickness. So just, not that needs to happen in every single athletic training facility, but in this situation to protect this person.
Or even something like, because this school has unlimited resources, right? So even something as simple as a towel with your name like embroidered on it. Easy to identify, it's yours.
But if it's sweaty and icky, you probably should have it washed anyway, like that. But just in general, follow universal precautions. So if you use a towel and it's wet filled, they throw it, launder it.
But yes, but then what I'm saying, like within the game, right? I'm not going to wash a towel within the game. So if
Yeah,
she goes in the
multiple
game, yes, but so if each person has their own within a game, they can easily get confused if they're not identified. Like you write your name on a cup at a party. You know what I mean?
But also,
Don't you party?
but HIV is not going to be spread through sweat. So
Yeah.
unless you see someone with an open wound, you'll do your best, be like hygienic and all of this. But if you are aware that Sean is just Sean right now and has no open wounds, there's nothing really on your radar that's going to be like, well, I got to watch this. Every single one needs to go right here. Like you can only do so much.
No, I'm
You
not
can't
saying
be in the
harm
camera.
that, but yeah, if they do it, that's up to them.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
All right, I think we can
move on.
Yeah. Just from that, just because there's more for us to kind of talk about with her actual care. So we talked about like possibly cleaning the table in between each thing, and then doing our regular precautions. But how about her whenever she's going through other rehab activities where she has to move about the athletic training room? What are some better ways that we can make sure to contain kind of?
Why are we having to contain?
What do you mean?
Wait, what's your question?
Like he asked, like container, like if she's unable to ambulate, why are we going to put her on multiple tables throughout the athletic training?
Well, I'm not saying multiple tables, but are we just talking about the time that she can't ambulate? Because you go weight bearing earlier than you would think. I'm not just saying like in the first 1-2 weeks. I'm talking about later down the line. And I know that she should technically have full healing of her wound.
Does she have an open wound? If she has an open wound, or anyone has an open wound, you follow the same procedures.
Right.
Regardless, if you have someone who has an open
Yeah.
wound on their foot, would you have them on a BAPS board barefoot?
No. Right.
So this person, you wouldn't be doing those exercises anyway with the open wound, right?
Mhm.
The wound would be healed. You have those items before we do it. Now, if there's leakage and you're changing bandages and stuff, you follow your own universal precautions. Maybe you do spend that extra 2 minutes actually applying the stuff, letting it actually through the whole assignment before you let the next patient go on. Put viricide or Hibiclens or something like that. You spray it and wipe it up. You don't actually let it sit and actually do its process. Actually follow
Following protocol,
following
The
what the
instructions.
manufacturer instructions are.
Right.
So it goes down to follow universal precautions and what we would do.
Mhm.
So with her care, we follow
You
you follow the prescribed.
maybe heightened your ability to like comply with all of those codes, but you don't necessarily have to change anything.
Now, if we go back to her own test, like the AD wants to get tested, you know what? You might be doing that to cover his own butt because maybe you are HIV positive anyway already and you didn't know it.
Mm.
That's one thing. But if he's going to have to do that, your immediate, but you still have your 30-day and 30, 90-day and 6-month follow-up, same as what you would do with other bloodborne incidents. So you get a needle stick or someone with, you don't know, like if anyone had blood on you, like I may not have anything, but if I bleed on Danny should get, and it's an open orifice, she should be tested regardless, and those should be part of your policy and procedure manual anyway. Even if I know I don't have anything, I may have something, may not. Just to do that. If the high school's policy states that you get immediately tested, great. You have to have that 30-day 90-day and 6-month follow because incubation periods vary on bloodborne pathogens. In terms of HIV, what was it?
10 to 30
10 to 33
it's the
days
window.
is the window. But you also, it could be as long as 90 days, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I've heard of people having to get tested once a month for a year.
And
And I know that's way more than that amount of time.
You know what? If that is the protocol that is established, that should be, you should follow the normal policies on that with bloodborne things. Now, if it's a speck of blood on here, it may be overreacting, but you know what? The AD says do it, and as part of their policy procedure, you do
What are
it
you comparing the speck of blood to?
like on the cheeks here. Just say like, what was in there? Okay, so there's some blood on the near the eye. Was it actually in the eye? We don't know.
Right.
So
But I mean, our pores not.
really when usually, yeah, HIV typically would not do that. You actually have to have bodily fluid interaction.
Mhm.
So with that case, I wouldn't say that's anything different. You follow universal precautions, whether it's Nito who is HIV positive, or Jimmy who reports that he is not HIV, hepatitis B, or anything positive with anything. You still follow the same procedures because that's what they're intended for, based off your OSHA guidelines, anything like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So what kind of like looking at that immediate like that 1 week treatment where you are doing wound care and things of that nature? What are some things that you would do for a typical patient that you may decide not to do because of this patient and them being HIV positive?
Like,
Like,
what are the restrictions?
Like
of care?
maybe you usually like to use some type of ultrasound or something like that around the wound. Would you no longer do that, or would you place some
Barrier.
type of barrier? Right, like what's the clear?
Like the bag full of water.
No, well, yeah, because that is what's like recommended. Yeah, so you can do that.
Yeah, that might be something.
But why would you put one on? For this case, would you put an ultrasound on?
No, wouldn't even be a thought. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to brainstorm like what other, because really it feels to me like there's not a whole lot that we're gonna have to change.
No.
So I'm trying to dig
I think
and find.
educate the athletic
I'm sorry.
director, not be so, paranoid.
Well,
Well,
Are you paranoid? Would
Of
you
getting
double
the-
up? Are
In the
you-
next 48 hours, go get your test.
Are you
No,
double?
I would in the next 48 hours, go get it. I would, and then I would say, I see what you're saying. The
Yeah.
window to
Set up
between
an
33
appointment
So you'll
to take
be
your test.
negative is the thing.
Right,
So
right.
there's no point to,
to do it.
yeah.
So I might-
But then, and not even like flirt with the concept of like paranoia for this person. Just recognize like, we're doing our precautions, this happened, whatever, we did our precautions, so shit happens. And then, but we'll take the necessary precautions like our.
Yeah.
Oh, it might be in the policy procedure that you get immediately tested in the first 48 hours. I've seen that.
Yeah.
And then you still have to have the follow-up stuff. But we're all more paranoia with the double gloving and stuff. Is that necessary?
No. Wait, does it say double? I was gonna say I'm like.
But that is it.
It's like
But
double
I
condiment.
Just for management education.
I mean, it's true though. Like, you wouldn't do that because it's like, different. So it's like,
Yeah, we'll get pregnant, hello.
with a double.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Brian. you-
I completely lost it.
Okay, all we have for Jess to do is educate the AD on when symptoms will actually show, adhere to universal precautions, and purchase enough towels for individuals on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I might also, like, because we know that we can't get results won't display anything until 10 to 33 days. So maybe, like, I don't know if, like, I guess you don't really necessarily have to go to a walk-in clinic, but set up an appointment and have it done. Right? To get
Yeah, maybe
tested
the appointment is made
within 48 hours, and then,
And if follow the institutional policies
Yes.
on all things that are bloodborne pathogen related.
yes.
I see what you're saying. Were you saying getting the test within 48 hours is like double gloving? Like it's that amount of
It's unnecessary.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So each institution has to develop their own policies, and we can be that resource to educate if the policy is stupid.
Or if it doesn't have a policy.
It could happen, yeah.
You're actually wrong. That
But-
T-I-O-N-S.
Institution. No.
Instead, where'd you right click it on this thing?
There is no right click. It is a Mac.
And
It's an I. I-N-S-T-I-T-U-T-I-O-N-S.
what am I missing? That's right.
Institute.
Double T.
Institute. Wait, that's it.
That is right.
Institute. looks
Stop
so
it,
wrong.
guys.
Right
It's
click.
right up there.
You double click to right click. I don't like that. Oh my gosh. Click it. Actually, no, physically. Click off. Sound back. 2-finger. Click. You weren't putting the apostrophe.
What the heck?
That's funny.
Oh, man.
Good change. Okay. Prepare a list of, are we
So
just?
that's what we're doing.
We're
for
preparing.
now.
So, yeah, then we can start looking at for follow-up care.
Well, for us, right?
Yes.
It's our testing procedures and our follow-up care.
Correct.
Are you supposed to, for some reason, start the drug to like up your antibodies? I feel like you are. I feel like that there's an immune booster that you're supposed to take even while you're still testing to see if you have it during that window period. I think you go ahead and get on it. I would have to find information on that.
I do not doubt that because that sounds very familiar to hepatitis B precautions, and you would be an antiviral medication.
So
that you-
comply with precautions.
Yeah, so if you get tested at the initial point in time, set that up, you get put on antiviral medications. Potentially. We should look that up and make sure that's the case, because maybe it is, maybe it's not best practice.
I took over your computer.
I see that.
That's okay.
I know you just took over your computer.
So I can't find a best practice.
Well, we got NewYork.gov health publication.
Right,
right here.
New York, baby.
So, if you answer yes to the following questions, go to the hospital emergency department right away. Don't wait 48 hours as the AD says.
Don't wait, go right away.
Go right away to the ER and follow, so it would be workman's comp. So with that, you go in right away. Okay, you plan?
Yeah.
You have to do the HIV testing. You'll be asked questions about your exposure. You'll also could be tested for hepatitis B, C, and other things. If you are not up to date on your hepatitis B vaccine, you may receive that at this time. If you're a woman, you get a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Um,
Hold on.
so what they call this is PEP, so post-exposure prophylaxis. So you do that if you're at work. It is part of workman's comp, and it's also covered by Medicaid and some private insurance companies. And then you have other precautions here that I can share with that. The Google Doc. Maybe. For some reason, this is not sharing. So they go through precautions. So if you have potential exposure, you go through that process. So kind of fun. It's similar to other items.
Hold on one second.
Post-exposure prophylaxis. Is that what you're looking at?
Yep. Are we? I will share it under a group meeting.
I just got it.
So
So actually, if you have to get it, it shows up as soon as possible, and then over 72 hours after exposure, it is unlikely to show.
So, okay, so you gotta go immediately after.
Yeah. So
Oh,
then
that's
after 3 days, then I didn't.
Okay.
You won't see anything for a while.
Until between 10
Yeah.
and 33. So this, I'm looking at AIDSinfonet.org. So I'm assuming that this is going to have some good stuff. But its recommendations say that post-exposure means taking the antiviral medications as soon as possible after exposure to HIV.
For 28 days.
that's what
Yes.
New York and
Yeah.
that's what this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, a different one. So yeah, so
Yeah,
if you
okay.
go
Okay.
like now, then and you know whatever may come of it, you take that stuff for 28 days.
Government website says that you have to start the post-exposure plan within 72 hours. If you didn't do it within 72 hours, shows no effect. So,
Wow. This says that it can reduce the rate of infection in healthcare workers by 79% when after they're exposed.
Holy cow!
So,
There's been people get blood transfusions and they're HIV positive.
Yeah.
Why would they not test for that?
Well, I think
they get, they receive, or donate?
They
No, they
receive the
receive.
blood transfusion.
Like my
that
little
has
brother
HIV.
From
takes-
someone who
My
had,
little brother takes blood transfusions or has them done, and so that's like a risk that they tell you about. Because it's like you need to look out for these signs because
and they do test, but it may not be a right test.
right,
gotcha.
and it happens.
But after 10,000 exposures, so 10,000 people have received HIV positive blood, and
They're-
they don't even know about it. 9,250 are positive, like the recipient of that blood turns positive as well. Only about 750 can find out.
So yeah, you're looking at it. So
Yeah, but this also says like good things to note, like biting, spitting, throwing bodily fluids. You know, that's
Okay.
it's a negligible
Yeah.
risk. It's a low risk for the athletic trainer here
Yeah.
in this case, but you still might as well be better
Yeah.
safe than
So
sorry.
for this plan then, right, we should go to the emergency room, get tested for HIV, get on the medication, like immediately.
Yeah.
Right, especially within the first 72 hours.
48.
Just
72 hours is
Oh,
when
72,
they'll get-
right, yeah.
so 48 hours is when the AD wanted you to go get tested.
You just need to go immediately.
Yeah.
Just go immediately.
And then,
What's that? What were those drugs called?
PEP.
No, that's the test. ARV is the,
I don't know.
they're called
so.
antiretroviral medications.
Antiretroviral. Prophylactic. I had it as prophylactic.
It's post-exposure prophylaxis
Yep, post-exposure prophylaxis
is the name of the testing.
Protocol.
Or the prevention
As
protocol.
a prevention
Yeah, yeah,
protocol.
MPEP is what it's called in this one.
You could tell.
so is that, so that would be, task 2 would be, that's not the patient, but
What am I doing?
that would be under task 1.
Task one.
So patient, then
So we actually need 2 documents,
Two
one for
documents.
task 1, one for task 2.
the documents.
That's,
Because that's the instructions.
that's the instructions. That's worth one.
No, to address each task.
Yeah. So task 2 would be, I feel like it would be pretty,
I'll just do it. I'll just write it here and then we'll separate.
yeah, that's fine.
I got you, Sean.
Um,
For the patient?
So I feel you can remove that, like the last four all apply to both, I think. Well, right, the
That's
last,
two.
well, because we don't need to find a towels for individuals on the team for
Oh.
us,
That's not,
No,
that's okay.
right?
Yeah.
So,
These ones. And this.
Are you trying to put
Yeah.
those in
put
test?
those, and then I put the last one on the test two is for the team, correct?
Yeah, the purchase
So
of
those
towels.
person towels you can remove
But
for now.
this isn't basketball, let's remember, this is cricket.
But you're
Yeah,
still gonna
towels.
wanna make sure that, I don't know the culture of that sport very well.
Yeah.
So,
It's not very sweaty.
true.
Yeah, it is sweaty.
Actually, yeah, and it's long as hell.
Yeah, it's like 2 days.
Yeah.
A couple of days, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know cricket.
I know that the.
It's
game's a
like
few days
a
long,
baseball, but with a 2x4. And
And it's a
wicket.
circular field, so you can hit it backwards,
It's a wicket.
and you run back and forth between the wickets. That's all I know. And there's no gloves.
it could literally last 4 days.
Yes.
There's a sticky wicket.
What is a wicket?
It's the three poles
3 poles.
that, like, when they swing, like,
The
the
ball-
the equivalent of like a strike zone, and
The bowler
Baseball.
the bowler wants
they
to,
hit the,
the bowler will bounce the ball, try to get it through the
if they try to
The
get
batter.
hit the, yeah.
batter
So
to
like
not go
baseball.
wrong.
sport ever.
Yeah. It's,
Okay, anyways, so task 2, comply with precautions for school, follow institutions policy, that's the same thing.
I'd say universal precautions in particular. So I just put like, I just say like pay extra attention to the universal precautions.
I think, yeah, but this one, I was meaning comply with precautions for school is for when bloodborne.
Okay, for like
Yeah.
exposure precautions
Yeah.
and everything, okay.
And then, so task 2, you don't need to put that because that's not her fault.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, follow the policies, adhere to universal precautions, purchase enough towels. That's not hers as well. That's not patient care. That's our care.
We can take that out.
Makes sense?
Task- task-
that's the care
task
for
one is-
ourselves,
is-
not like our care. Like, task 1 is based off of how are we gonna care for ourselves?
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
What's our testing?
And then task 2 is how we're gonna care for
Follow-up.
the patient and those around them.
Oh, okay, so there, got it.
I don't think anything else changes too much.
Before we finish this up, you guys wanna cut this?
Thank you, see.
I hope she screenshots that.